This is the Sic'em Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. The Sic'em Podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics. Now, here are your hosts, Katie Smith and the voice of the Bears, John Morris.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to our special summer edition of the Sic'em Podcast. John Morris alongside the tan Katie Smith.
Wow, thank goodness this is a podcast and not in person.
How's summer going for you?
It's a good summer. It's been busy. I can't believe we're already sitting here in July. It's been relaxing, but also I feel like football is right around the corner. Like we're almost there already.
Well, how about we talk a little football today?
Okay, great idea.
Let's hear from the Bears head coach, Dave Aranda. Football is starting to kind of think about it, talk about it. Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine has been out for a while. And the Big 12 Football Media Days were last week, July 12th and 13th, at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Let me tell you, that is a spectacular spot to have this event. It's where the Dr. Pepper Big 12 Championship game is played on December 2nd. So they start the season, basically, with the media days there and end the Big 12 season with the championship game there.
Very cool.
It's very fun.
A lot of good things we heard from our guys while they were there and from Coach Aranda, and we'll hear more. And he's doing this Texas tour, right? And so what are kind of some of the stops on that Texas tour?
Texas tour, we were in Fort Worth first. Great crowd there. Yeah. Last week on Thursday, so it would have been July 13th, depending on when you're listening to this, July 13th, we were in Plano at the Marriott Legacy up there.
Plano, Texas. A lot of good people come from Plano, Texas.
You know Plano, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I looked for your statue. I didn't see it, but I'm sure it's there.
Must have torn it down.
No, but it was great to be in Plano. It was a great crowd there,
Good.
So really, really nice turnout. And as good fortune would have it, so a Q&A with Coach Aranda, and I recorded it, so that's what our podcast is coming up today.
Well, that will be great for everyone to get to hear from Coach Aranda.
This will get your juices flowing for the season. August 3rd is the scheduled start of practice for Baylor. September 2nd is the season opener. What a great schedule. 8 home games this year. 4
of which are in September.
Yeah,
right?
First 4 games are at home.
So exciting. So excited to see our guys.
So that's what our podcast is here, special summer edition, is that Q&A with Coach Aranda. A lot of wide-ranging topics, talked about a little bit of everything. Unfortunately, one of those, the way we started, condolences to Coach Aranda and his family. His dad passed away, so he was leaving that next day to go out to California for the memorial service.
Yeah.
But you'll hear that, and you'll hear a lot of, sort of position by position breakdown, his thoughts on what's going on with Baylor football here in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, well, I was sad to miss in person, so I'm excited to get to hear.
There you go. We got it coming up. How about that?
Have you been looking for a new podcast to listen to? Are you interested in true crime, funny one-star reviews, or inspiring stories? What about the history of Waco or the famous people who've lived and worked here? All these and more are produced by Rogue Media Network. There are over 80 different shows, including this one, with more coming all the time. If there's a story to tell, Rogue Media Network is telling it. Watch on YouTube or listen now wherever you get your podcasts. And now let's go to JMO and Coach Dave Aranda at the Texas Tour in Plano, Texas.
If you thought that level of the music was loud, you should be in the Simpson Athletic Building when they're working out downstairs. That is nothing. The building actually shakes. Thank you for being here. David mentioned it in his opening prayer. Our sincere sympathies to you and your family on the passing of your dad last week. But thank you for being here this evening.
No, I'm way blessed to be here. It's enjoy this so much, and just the relationships. And at first it was the faces, and then it was like, I remember the conversations, and then it's the follow up and everything. So it's just way cool to be here with you guys. And with my dad, so we're leaving. So we're staying tonight. My family is staying tonight in Dallas, and we're flying tomorrow to go back to California. So I think there's going to be like 200 relatives that are going to be at this celebration of life. And so we're going to need name tags for my family so I know who they are, But Saturday night we'll have something where it's just the uncles and the cousins and stuff. And then Sunday will be with everyone. So just way looking forward to that. I know for my kids especially, for the grandpa that they knew, and for them to connect with the other family members will be really good.
Well, we share your loss, and we're praying for you and your family. A question was asked at the media days about that, a life lesson or something that you really took from your dad. Could you share that with us?
Yeah, I can remember. So, when you're young, you don't. At least for me, I never realized how smart my dad was, and so was one of the first to go to college, and got 2 degrees. And really has had 3 careers. He was on the parole board, the federal parole board, and then he was a counselor at a high school, and then he was a night teacher, And so just to kind of weave and go in and out of these things and all of it, and that just, I never, so like that was like a huge. And that kind of came later, I guess, seeing that and just realizing how, how smart he was and how things could come to him so quick. But one of my memories of my dad was that he would always go to like, he was great working on cars. And it was good because we always bought really cheap cars. And so they were always breaking down. But I think he wanted to work on it, though, And so he would go to an auto parts store. And, and he'd ask, hey, Dave, do you want to go? And after a while, I was like, because I knew it wasn't just that. Now, you go to the auto parts store, and everybody knew who he was. And they're all this talk, and, it's half an hour to get, like, a spark plug or something. But then he would never drive home. And so he would always stop, and there's this cousin that I've never met. Or, hey, let's go visit your uncle. Did you know about the Vietnam War and what he did? And, hey, let's stop by the cemetery. Your aunt's going to be there, and she's going to pay respects to your great-grandfather. So there's always stuff like that, always. And I remember at the time, I was in high school, I didn't like it, but I'm way appreciative of it now. And we're going to see a lot of those folks here coming up the next couple of days.
Thank you for sharing. Again, we share your loss. We really do.
No,
thank you for being here. And Media Days, Big 12 Media Days just concluded today. Baylor's Day was yesterday. How did you feel like that went?
I enjoyed it. I thought we had Blake Chapin with us, our quarterback, and Drake Dabney, tight end for us, and Josh Cameron, receiver, and Drake. I know talking to Drake, man, he loved it, and just the opportunity to meet with folks and kind of tell his story. He's coming back off an injury, and Josh Cameron was a walk-on that's earned a scholarship spot, and hardest, physical, tough. I mean, it got to the point with Josh to where it's like, hey, we need to put him on special teams. And then it got to, hey, we need to put Josh in so he can dig out this safety or crack this linebacker. And then it got to, hey, it's 3rd and 3. We need this, completion on this slant. We got to put Josh in so we can, get a completion. So it's just way cool for just his progression. And so I thought he did a great job of interacting with folks and everything. And TJ was there on defense, D lineman for us. I thought he did a great job. Mike Smith, linebacker, was there for us. And so really felt like the group was I thought as the day went on, they kind of opened up more, but I thought they really had fun with it. So I'm proud of them. Yeah.
Mike Smith, a new name, one of the newcomers to the roster. Who are some of the other new names that we'll get to know this year?
Yeah, Keytron Jackson would be one as a receiver. I think Keytron and Mike were, and then Dominic Richardson, I guess, would be the 3 that kind of jump out. Dominic played against us last year, and the last couple of years at Oklahoma State. Way physical runner, falls forward, he's got a great heart, great soul, but is, plays with like an anger and just a violence that we need, and so I think, I look at last year, what our offensive line was able to do, and there's the analytics would say, hey, there was 3 yards created, and Baylor got 3.2 or 3.3 yards per rush. And so what you like to be able to get is 3 yards. You like, if you could, get more, but 3 yards created, and you like to get 4 yards per rush or 5 yards per rush. And I think, we were able to get that 2 years ago. And so I think Dominic kind of addresses that. And I think Richard Reese's continued growth will address that too. But Keytron in the spring was really kind of the MVP on offense. Of the 3 scrimmages we had, the two of the 3, really, we had to double them to stop them, and just the single coverage and taking the top off. First scrimmage, took a slant and took it to the house and stuff, and so way excited for him. I think he's someone that people have to pay attention to and deal with, and if anything, he's going to pull 2 guys over there, which will open up, the rest of it. And then, I thought Mike, after the first 2 scrimmages, is anyone else going to tackle? Because Mike's making all the tackles, I think that first scrimmage, Mike had something like 16 tackles and like 5 assists, and then the second scrimmage was the same. But there's just a physical presence about him, and so he's there doing all that, and the tackles are kind of knocked back, kind of in-your-face tackles, and, we do something at the end of practice where we have put-ups and call-ups, and so at the end of it, I'll put up somebody that I thought really did a really good job, and maybe it was someone back from injury, or maybe it was someone that really hadn't spoken up, and we wanted to speak up, and I'll put him up. So I'll say so and so's name, and then he's responsible to put up somebody else, and so Mike was continually being put up by his peers as a guy that this guy's doing all the things. And then when Mike would talk, you just tell it got real silent. Everyone's kind of hanging on every word. So there's a cool presence about him. The call-ups would be if a dude's below the line, if he's not doing the right stuff, then the players are calling them up, right? As opposed to kind of calling them out, but call them up, and it's in front of everybody, and that's the whole thing. And so it's been really good. And, Blake's been great with that. I think he's been on both sides of it, but has been way vocal. And so, yeah. But I think that, Dominic, Keytron, and Mike are the 3 that can expect really big things from.
Keytron transfer from Arkansas, and Mike from Liberty. You said earlier this week you've sort of adjusted your thinking about the transfer portal.
Yeah, last year was very hard. I know it was hard for you all, and it's hard. I wish the lessons would be easier. I wish you could figure stuff out in an easier way. And I don't know I don't know if it was like it was coming off of 21 where it was like we got this, and I don't feel like that. And so I'd like to think it's not that, but I don't know though, because we did not use the portal last year, and our receiver room was really thin and young, and we should have used it. I think one of the not only did it hurt the season, and that it hurt Blake too. I think some of the incoming that Blake got was on me. Not giving him the help that he needs, And so what was hard about it for me was like anytime you say yes to someone on the outside, you're saying no to somebody on the inside, And then it's just, I don't know. We when we recruit, we talk to the parents and the dude about, hey, man, it ain't going to be like this. You're going to have to go down before you go up, and we want to be able to help you. Right, come out of that pit and get to where you need to get to and things. And so, it's when guys are in a pit and they're struggling and they're fighting through stuff, and then you bring somebody else to kind of do their job. I think that I had a hard time with that a year ago, but I think for the betterment of the team, we need to do it. And I think it's kind of the thing isn't a yes or no to that. It's, it's how you do it, And so, yeah, that's what we're doing. And I feel good about, like this talk I'm having with y'all, I would have with the team just like this. And so that they see and they understand. And I do it with their parents too. And so that everyone's on the same page. And so far, so good.
You mentioned Blake. Blake Chapin named the starting quarterback after spring. What did you see from him in that competition with Sawyer Robertson, who's another new guy at quarterback through the spring, that led you to name him the starter?
Yeah, really impressed with both. I thought, Sawyer's got such strong physical skills and traits, and just a natural leader. So Sawyer's up here, man, but he's so engaging. Everybody would see it, and he just has that about him. And so it's just way exciting for what he can become. Some of the battles in Sawyer would be, such a way different offense. Being under center and having done that. There's some of the spread offenses would be, hey, if the guy ain't open, just tuck it and run. Or if the guy ain't open, force it in there on certain throws. And this would be opposite from us, right or wrong. We would not do that. And so we had to train some of the things out of them. So the relearning kind of is the issue. And we tried to smooth some things out to make it easier for him. But still, I think it's a bit of a transition. I expect fall camp for him to be really good. And he's just going to get better and better and better. But having said that, with Blake, anytime, man, you look at like Blake's high school career was all everything baseball player, all everything football player. Went to Evangel High School in Louisiana, and got to Baylor. Ends up playing late in the year, ends up starting. Right, had the Big 12 championship game, and he never really tasted defeat. Not really in his life, And so then when the defeat came and the struggles came, and then it was all of a sudden, there's a confidence problem, and then there was the incoming, the criticism and all of it, and as much as we tried, we couldn't kind of build a wall around it, and I know it affected him, And so for him to kind of go through that and to come back up, and for the coaches, I think Sean's done an awesome job, Sean Bell, of being there with him, and then Grimes of Jeff Grimes, our OC, of seeing it and having a ton of compassion for him and bringing him up, and so to do all that, and then for Blake to show up. And to take the mantle of the leader, and to, because it's hard when you're feeling criticized and everything, it's easy to have your eyes on you and to worry about what you're doing. And the role he's in, he's got to be able to look and see other people. And so for him to do all that and to do it with an open heart like how he is just so cool. I mean, I would want that from my son, So just pulling for him, I thought, his consistency and his leadership in the spring were really, really good. So previously, last year, if there was a practice and it started off with a bad team period, that practice was going to be tough. Whereas in the spring, he'd start off with a bad series. The next series immediately was better, and the practice was great. And so you could just see the change, just way cool. And just it's almost as if he was inviting the adversity, and he wasn't going to run from it, And then the leadership part of just calling guys up and putting guys up, and Blake's kind of got a there's some warmth and some softness inside, but a lot of crustiness on the outside. But Blake, just his natural how he goes, and so for him, for all of that to work, man, he has to really make an effort to get to know dudes and for them to see the real him, because he's an awesome dude. And so he's been doing that, and so I'm way proud of him. I think, all the things we've asked him to do, he's knocked it out the park. And so he's way confident. I'm way confident. We're excited.
What have you seen from R.J. Martinez? He's another guy in that quarterback room.
It's a good room. R.J.'s got I remember our AD, Mac Rhodes, came to a scrimmage and caught kind of the end of it, and that was his thing was, man, is that R.J.? And I go, yeah. And he would be like that. I think if you guys were to come and watch him play, he's like a shortstop. The movements and the how he can throw a ball from different angles, and his creativity is his strength. It also could be his weakness. There's not really anything else. Way smart, way competitive. When I talk to him about it, he goes, "Coach, I only have so many reps." I go, "I know, but we got to get you trained in the right stuff so that when you do have your shot, right, it's rolling." And so, but he's a great kid and way talented. I'd have no issue if he were to get reps here or there, because and the kids can see it too for sure, is that he's very talented.
Yeah. Mac didn't ask to call any plays or anything, did he?
No.
Okay, good. What about the offensive line? A couple of newcomers there, the Barrington brothers. It looks like they've stepped in and maybe starters for you.
Yeah, they what a great family and all the recruiting, And then for him, for Clark, and as a leader on the team right from the get-go, and Campbell is way athletic and talented and everything, and so they're kind of the stalwarts of it. And then we got like Tate Williams and a bunch of guys that are young, that are really George Miley, they're getting their shot. And so it's just way cool. That is a hungry room. And it's like a chip on the shoulder room. And like they're probably like pissed off and mad like right now. And so it's good to be around them, because you feel like we're fighting right now. And so, and I think Eric Mateos, our coach, does a great job kind of cultivating that. And so, it's a group that's only going to get better and better and better. I think the cohesiveness got better from the start of spring to the end, and I anticipate that's going to be the case in the season.
Not pointing fingers, but is that an area that needs to be better to get the offense clicking like it was 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think the hunger part. I think the chip on the shoulder part is there, and I think last year was a struggle to get those things.
Where do you feel like you are in the defensive line? Some losses there.
Yeah, no, I feel good though. With Gabe and TJ, I think those are guys that TJ had one of the better springs that I've seen since I've been at Baylor. I think he was, not only as a leader but also on the field, just way productive, and was in on a lot of for losses plays and sacks and things, and we're moving him around, featuring him, and so that's paying off. And then Gabe's way talented, and Gabe's got all this ability, and I think his maturity is rising up to where it needs to be. Gabe should be a high draft pick, and our aim is to get him there. I think the playing, the athletics stuff is not the issue, and so we're really kind of all hands in on that. But then I think we've got a lot of good young talent, guys that are going to play and are going to contribute minutes. Guys like Trey Emery and Trey Wilson. But then we got Trevin was a transfer from Oregon. He's going to play some nose guard and also play some defensive end. So he gives us a depth guy and a guy that can hit blocks and take on double teams and do all of it. And tough dude. And so I feel good about the depth that we've created that's there.
Good. Back end of the defense, you feel good about that right now?
Yeah, Corey Gordon, we moved to star. And so Corey is one of our more athletic, talented dudes, and I think he's got the ability to make people miss, if they're blocking him, and he can cover slots. He can set edges in the run game. It's interesting. I think all the former players, I think, when you're in a blitz period or you're in a team period, and when it's camp, we're kind of rolling through. So everybody's getting reps those first couple weeks. And so it's just real, Corey last year played safety. And so the nickel blitzes a whole lot more than the safeties do, but the safeties still blitz. And so we would rush our star, and we would, if we can do it right, if the presentation is right, we can get the slide going this way. And so the back has to take the star or the nickel one-on-one. If it ain't what we want it to be, they're going to fan it out, which is good for the front people because it's a one-on-one. But now the stars versus a tackle. And so, there's some production with that last year. But when we brought a safety in those positions to rush, when it was Corey, it was so much more apparent that, hey, this guy can go, this guy can do it. And I think, the issue with Corey was just the maturity piece of it. And so it's been really good to see the growth in him. I think he's going to be a really good player. I think he's going to be somebody that can change a game. He's very talented. But you got Devin Bobby out back there too. That corner, we've got a lot of length and a lot of speed. And so I'm excited for what we can do there. Chateau Reed's been at Baylor for a while, and Chateau's kind of struggled just kind of with life, with showing up on time, going to school, and doing all the things. And for him to go from where it was to where it is now is like the reason why you do it, And so it's just really cool. And he's one of our leaders, and he's got a starting job right now, and excited for him because he has all the ability to do it. And so there's a lot of length and speed in that back end. I'm really confident in that. We're going to be playing a lot more man coverage than what we have before. And so there's going to be less thinking and some more doing, and I think it fits us great. And so I'm excited for them.
Somebody at Media Days, actually a couple of people made the point to me that I hadn't thought of, that it's an odd number year, 23. He said, it's Baylor's year. It's an odd number year. And I hadn't thought about it, but 21 was a great year. 19 was a really good year also. What in your mind has to happen with this team to get back to more like it was in 21 rather than 22?
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it starts with just the whole, what's the reason why we're doing it? What's the, it starts with, for me, person over player. For the coaches, it starts with do simple better. Scheme can get it to where you can be competitive, but you win with players. So you got to put your people first, And then I think the person over player part. So whether it's knowing yourself so that you can be yourself, so you can express yourself. So when it comes to it, then you can check yourself. Yeah, I think I don't know. We were just talking at dinner. I think so much of college football now is promoting yourself, and you don't even really know who you are. And to when you know yourself, it's just so striking that you can take a dude and put him in any room. He can be in this room, can be out there in that room, can be out there in that room, and is the same dude in all these rooms. And I just think, I think that starts with that's got to be an intention. That's got to be, there's a masterpiece inside you, bro. Let's work to get it out. And then football can be then an expression of that, an expression of who you are. And, we got a bunch of great players that are in here, and when we pop on your tape, there's only one person that did it the way you did it, and that was you, and you had all the coaching and you had all the things, but you did it your way, right? And got to learn all the rules, and then afterwards you can kind of bend and break the rules, and it's just so cool. But I think, it starts with knowing who you are, and for us, that would be hidden with Christ and God. And so, to be true to that and to play through all of that, I've come to find out that's a whole thing. So it's almost like everything that's out there is to go against it, but to stay true to that, and to our coaches and players and everyone to see it, then you can express yourself, and then when it comes to, you can check yourself. And I think that's one of the things, whether it's when some of our younger players, is just the growth and maturity and the self-awareness, not so much of what's right or wrong, but what's helpful and what's not helpful in their growth, And so I think if we keep it there, then we've got the talent, and I know we've got the coaches. All the other stuff's going to follow, but we'd be doing it in a way I think everyone would be proud of.
Are you writing all this down, or is somebody writing this down? I mean, this is a best-selling book that you're sharing with everybody here tonight.
No, I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for it, And so and I think we've talked about before. It's easier when you win. It's harder when you lose, and to kind of stand by all of it, But I think it's way important to stand by it, and I think it's in the previous couple of years, to try to get guys to believe in it, and this is all important, and what does this have to do with football, and it has everything to do with your life, dude, and all of that, to now where a lot of these transfers come because of this, And a lot of these coaches, we have some staff members that left after 21 and came back here because of this. And so that's just way cool. That just makes, that gives me strength. And so I'm excited for this year. I think, the GPA we had in spring was the second highest GPA Baylor football's ever had. The highest was in the 21 season in fall. So in spring, I think it was exactly a 3.0. And we're aiming to be higher in this fall. And it's a bunch of young freshmen and everything, too. So I just feel the way that the athletes and the talented dudes that they are and the level of detail they're putting into everything is way cool. And I think it's the way it should be.
I love your person-over-player approach. I think all of us do. And Mac likes to say, preparing champions for life. I mean, that's it. You're doing it every day in your approach with these guys. Matt Pallage is one of those guys who left, was away, and is back. Mm-hmm. What differences might we see with him as the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, Matt, I appreciate Matt so much because Matt is just so genuine and so authentic. I remember at first when we had Matt, it was like, this dude's kind of like a goofy dude, I imagine someone's going to tell him that now, but he's just such like a goofy guy. But that was just him, though, and he wasn't, there was no kind of, there was no mask or anything. And the kids loved him, and they'd have all these, so he would be the guy that everyone's doing impersonations on, and so, but he just had this way, like wicked smart, way smart, and so, yeah, I guess, a lot of times you get I don't know, you get, with coaches, you get dudes who are just way smart, and it's just the a-hole in them comes out when it comes to people. And then you have the people that just struggle with the details and struggle with the efficiency of stuff. And Matt's a guy that can do both and is like really strong in both. And so I think and then to have no ego with all of it is just like a home run, And the players see that. And so that's the biggest thing is that they want to play for him.
For new schools in the Big 12 this year, we'll go to UCF, we'll go to Cincinnati, Houston plays in Waco. We played BYU each of the last 2 years, 2 really good games each of the last 2 years. What do you think, what does this do for our conference with these 4 schools coming in?
It's strong, yeah. A strong conference gets even stronger, And I met a lot with the BYU people yesterday, and such awesome people. And I know for any of you that were at either of the games the last 2 years and stuff, it's just, I think it's a way unique experience playing them and just being around their fans and just meeting their young people and then their AD. And then we did an interview with there's a BYU TV station, and just way cool people, man. But I think like it's a tough team. It's a physical team. Cincinnati's going to be really similar that way. And I think you bring more just tough outs. Have been in leagues before where there's a real strong kind of upper echelon. But also you had 1 or 2 weeks where you knew, whereas there is not that. You don't have that in this league. Every week it's on. And you have to have your best. And I think these guys they double down on that.
Any particular thoughts you can share in the room about Texas and OU leaving? We don't play OU. We don't play OU this year. Texas is actually our conference opener.
Yeah, with OU, I'd like to be able to think. I'm a fan of Coach Venables, and just knowing him, there was always. I guess kind of like a friendly competition between him and I. And so I have a lot of respect for him because he's got a good soul, and I want him to succeed. And so I'm hopeful that for their sake, it's better than what it was. For Texas, I go right to coaches, I guess, but just meet with Sark and everything. I know that he is very confident, and so I can, we talked about that game, our game coming up, and we're looking forward to seeing him and everything. But I think that should be a game where we, if they don't give us the time, where we've got to do some winning prior to that to get that to where that's a primetime game and McLean is packed to the gills and the whole thing's rocking. And so when I think of Texas, I think of that right now.
It's fun to think about. I mean, 8 home games this year. Baylor has never had 8 home games in the history of Baylor University. First 4 are at home, 3 non-conference, and then Texas. And it's important. I think it's asking a lot of our fans, to have 8 home games. But, man, we really need to take advantage of that, don't we?
Yeah, I think we got to win. I think that's the what I feel is that, I think for people to come out, whether it's an 11 o'clock game or whatever the time is, I think there has to be a product on the field that they're fired up to see. And I'm way confident on our team, our coaches, our players, just the feeling, the direction. I'm driving down. I'm talking to Vic Floyd, our strength coach, and he's talking about the run today and. We don't have an indoor right now, and then our grass fields were kind of beaten up on with the construction, and so we've been in the stadium, and so if it's 110, it's 120, and so that's where the boys have been, and so I just think the grind is totally there, and I'm just excited for what we're building, and. We've got to build in the toughest moments, show up, and we're working towards that.
What's it going to look like when fall camp starts around the 1st of August? Can you get in the Allison indoor at all, even though it's under construction?
Yeah, that's the latest I've heard is that we'll have the indoor, and it'll be good to have, and so that we'll have all the indoor, the grass fields, the stadium, so.
That's good. And we have road games like this that I mentioned earlier is on everybody's table. Back the Bears on the road. There's one of the road games, only 4 of them, but one's in Fort Worth against TCU. And with this, you can buy tickets through Baylor Alumni. They've got, how many? 5,000 tickets? 500 tickets that are reserved, so we want to have you in A section wearing gold, in Fort Worth, and this QR code will give you the information on that. But that gold on the road at home, it really pops. You can see our fans, and they make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, one of the things, too, and I know I've worked with Javon, it's been a great help with our home games, is mixing up the jerseys. I feel like there's been some are these dudes in green all the time, And so I think we're going to try to have there's going to be for sure a gold out. We're going to try to have a white out, then mixing up the jerseys. So I think that'll be a cool thing. I think, my girls brought it to my attention that Dad, you suck with the jerseys. And so I said, I don't know, I need to call in some help with this.
It's your fault, right?
Yes.
That is great. Well, McLean Stadium is so great, can be such a great home field advantage. And again, with 8 home games this year, we need you folks there. And again, I know that's asking a lot for 8 home games. But, Coach, we appreciate you and, again, making the time to be here this evening. And, gosh, we're excited about the season. Not that far away from the start of fall camp.
No, I appreciate it. It's a team that you guys can be proud of, and I'm way excited to see him. It's a way strong confidence, and so can't wait.
Good. Thank you very much, Coach.
Appreciate
it. All
Thank
right.
you, guys.
Coach Dave Aranda.
That's Dave Aranda with the Texas Tour in Plano, Texas. Loved getting to hear from him. One more stop on the tour coming up on July 27th. It was rescheduled, but it'll be in Houston, Texas. So for those of our listeners in Houston that want to see it and hear it in person, they can definitely sign up for that.
Taking our show on the road, going to Houston
it.
After that. So a lot of fun with Coach Aranda. And again, really appreciate him, in a tough time when his dad passed away, pancreatic cancer. But he talked about it very openly, as he does. Coach Aranda, he'll talk openly and honestly about anything and everything.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that about him.
Very much so. All right, so that's our Sic'em podcast, a special edition here in the summer. Katie, great to see you.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get to see each other for the rest of the summer. I'm kidding. Can you imagine?
Yeah, no, we are right across the hall from each other,
Yes.
which is great in the Simpson Athletic and Academic Center. Hey, I've had the privilege of calling games, telling stories about Baylor athletics for a long time. Storytelling is an art, and there's a network in town doing just that. Rogue Media Network has produced over 80 original podcasts and shows ranging from comedy, true crime, business, and sports. If there's a story to tell, Rogue Media Network is telling it. You can find this podcast and all the other great Rogue Media Network shows on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. All right, back to the pool for you, Katie.
I'm off.
And that is our special edition Sic'em podcast here in the middle of July. We'll be back regularly in the fall. We appreciate hearing from Coach Aranda. For Katie Smith, I'm John Morris, and that is the Sic'em podcast.
You've been listening to the Sic'em podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. The Sic'em podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics.